Hi everyone, welcome back to Chai, Coffee and Customs, a podcast for third culture kids by third culture kids. Today's discussion is about mental health as third culture kids in a South Asian society. I guess I'll dive right in by saying, have you ever thought about your mental health as a third culture kid? Or when did you first become aware of it?
I think after moving to North America, to be very honest.
Yeah, I think more recent years in
Yeah.
the 2000s.
Mhm.
I don't think when we were growing up, mental health was discussed like a discussion, or it was even there.
Is it
And-
because it was like taboo or we weren't aware of it or
I think it's a mix of a lot because I think right now we have a lot more awareness because of
Yeah,
the whole social media section and people speaking out more about it. Whereas
Yeah.
before, I don't think people were talking about
No.
it as often. So
Yeah.
that's
And-
probably one of the reasons.
yeah, and I don't think I knew things like
Exactly.
mental health until someone said that they are going to speak to like a shrink, and then I was like, but why? So
Like I studied psychology in school, but it was
Mhm.
never something that we spoke about from a mental health
Yeah.
perspective. Like it was just as a subject.
organizational psychology.
Exactly. Yeah. I
Yeah.
think you also studied
Yeah,
psychology.
I did
right?
too. I took it as a minor, but 3 years, and even in that, it was mostly just like Freudian theory.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah.
clinical
Exactly.
psychology.
So when I did my English lit, we had an entire course over Freudian theory, and I think that's crap. I think people should be not reading Freud. He was self-obsessed
Yeah.
and obsessed about many more things that
Yes.
I can't say on podcast.
Yes.
But
Yeah, it was a pretty interesting topic.
yeah,
I was just like, what am I learning? Like,
exactly.
why am I learning this again? I don't understand.
But
You know.
so imagine, even while teaching Freud, my professor, who was an English professor for so many years, like at that time, he was probably in his 60s. He was a tenured professor about to retire. The class was almost full of women, and teaching Freud theory, there were certain words that he would bleep out by saying his bleep out was that thing. So talking about sex or talking about depression, he would say that thing. So things like that is where I feel like South Asian culture kind of doesn't associate with mental health, or they don't want to associate with
Also, I
mental
think
health.
it's come more into limelight with just so much of information at the tip of our
Yeah.
fingers that everybody has too many things to process in their mind.
Yeah.
So more recently, like probably for me more, I would say in the late 2000s. So I was aware of it, but it was not something that was spoken about openly.
Yeah.
But then I think it's started being spoken about more openly in the recent years, at least for me. So, I mean, as an HR, I don't know if that's different.
So one thing that I really still hold in my head is when my ex was going through, he went to a psychiatrist to talk about stuff that was happening in his life and everything. And because we were together, the doctor basically said, can you bring your spouse with you? And when I went, I think I was at that stage when I was still trying to make that relationship work. There was one thing that I told the doctor. I was like, I think he's work in progress. And he basically corrected me there. He said, everybody's work in progress, but how much effort are they putting in?
Hmm.
And that was like a light bulb moment for me.
100%. Oh, yeah.
And that doctor was also South Asian.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's one of the challenges here, right? But like before we go into that, like growing up in Indian household, how were you taught to regulate your emotions or your mental health? Like
I honestly
when you
don't
had an
remember.
outburst or when you had like a disagreement. Like for example, for me, what I remember whenever like I would cry or have some sort of, I don't want to call it a mental breakdown, like maybe like a teenage like phase or whatever, I was never told to stop. Like my parents were just like, you want to cry, cry, like let it out, don't hold it in, which I think helped because that helped me regulate my emotions. I didn't keep anything pent up, but I don't know about
It's the
like-
same. I mean, I grew up in the same household. So I don't think anything was different. I think, yeah, like when we feel something, we've always been told to let it out.
Yeah.
So we've never been told to keep it in, at least with the people whom you're comfortable with
Yeah.
and who will get you.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've like as a teenager or growing
From
up,
a young age.
I think from a young age, yeah, we've been never told.
I don't
to,
know how or when they got that way. I feel it was more my mom than my dad. I don't my dad cared about what we were going through as teenagers. Or maybe he cared,
He
but
did. I think he
never-
was focused on his job.
Yeah,
and
he would more
yeah.
focus on like if we were going and hanging out with the wrong kind of people or something like that. That's when he would step in and be like, "I don't like this friend of yours. Like,
Yeah.
stay away."
He didn't
from
like
me."
any of our friends, but that's okay.
He didn't like any of the guy friends.
Yeah, fair enough. That's a dad thing. So
No, but like there would be certain girls as well where he would
Yeah,
meet
yeah.
and be like, "I don't get like a
good vibe.
good
yeah.
vibe from her. So don't hang out with her," kind of a thing. And you'd just be like, "Bro, I want to hang out." Blah. And then like now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, he was right.
Well, because friends with a lot of the people, but yeah, I guess.
So in my family, we did discuss things, but there were a lot of things that we would kind of
Hush.
not discuss as well. Like there were some things that were like, this is only parent stuff, or we are dealing with this kind of stuff. So I don't think they didn't overtly come and say, you should not be discussing this or you should not be doing this. But I relate to that Frozen song where Elsa's older sister, who is like, let it be, blah, blah, blah. So she's kind of like, everything has to be bottled up inside, kind of a thing. They didn't teach us that, but I kind of feel like I bottle up everything till the time it's time to explode. But I don't think it was someone saying that you should not be discussing this or you should not be talking about this or something. It's something that I just learned.
That's so interesting because like I recorded another episode today, and that's coming out like next week. But she's also a younger sibling. And I think it's just like a younger sibling thing where they're just like, no, she's too young to know. So like even when we were younger, maybe like till you hit a certain age, it was like, no, she's too young to know this. Like we shouldn't tell her.
Yeah.
But for me, I had her. So even if I didn't know, she would come and tell me.
Okay.
So I was never like kept out of the loop that way, and I never hid it from my parents to say like she told me.
Okay.
Like I wouldn't pretend that I don't know unless she specifically told me to pretend that I don't know, which was never the case. Like usually she would just tell me, and and then over time it became like a thing where they were like, okay, if we don't tell her, like Lakshmi's gonna tell her kind of a thing. And so because of that, like I think we were never kept out of the loop for a lot
Also,
of time.
I think it was the environment where we grew up because we were in Zambia.
Yeah.
We didn't have anybody to really lean on, and our family had to lean on to each other, right? So I think that's where the close knit and the openness of being able to be vulnerable around each other was there. So it was never that you need to keep whatever you're feeling within you. You have to tell us because really you only have us and we only have you. Right?
Yeah.
So I think that environment kind of helped a little bit.
Definitely.
So, I mean, and also it helped that, Amma was she was very open about her emotions and feelings. She would never keep it within her.
Yeah.
So I think that also set an example for us that there is no need to bottle up what we feel. We need to say it out.
Especially with the people.
Whom you care about and who care about you. Right?
Yeah.
So,
and like even though my dad was to himself, like when my mom was venting, he would let her. He would also vent maybe, but he wouldn't like stop her from shouting or explaining. I don't know. Yeah. Passionately explaining.
Yes.
Yeah, if anything, the decibel levels would just become a competition. But yeah, that's okay.
Yeah.
It was never something that we were told, like, don't cry or keep quiet or.
So I think when I noticed mental health was when I was in my relationship with my ex. And I realized that my mood will fluctuate as per their mood and or his mood. And then I noticed my way of dealing with people, my tolerance level, everything was going down. That was like when I hit the rock bottom was when I realized that I need to get out. This is not a relationship that I can sustain mentally for myself. Like this is a very toxic relationship and this is affecting me mentally. And it took me about 6 to 7 months to get out of that mindset. I remember bursting out in anger at you and Kedar, and I remember like being short tempered with my parents, which I'm not. Like, I'm not a short tempered person. It takes a lot of misbehavior and everything for me to be short tempered, but they just like casually said something, and I was like, you don't understand. And I don't even remember it now.
I don't remember it either, but I remember there was a snap.
Yeah.
It was on the phone, and then I remember because I was sitting in the car with
Yeah.
Kedar, and I cut the call, and I'm like, I think you need to go. I think you need to go and be with your sister.
Yes.
There's just a lot going on with her, and she needs her elder brother.
Yeah,
So
that
I think
was
that
my
was the
rock
time when he
bottom.
came as
Yeah.
well for about a week or two.
Yeah,
Like,
and that was like right after I had separated.
Yeah.
And that was like my rock bottom. That's when I realized. And I also had an incident where I yelled at my ex's sister while I was in the office, and there were people around. And then one of my colleagues was like, but I was talking a different language. And then one of my colleague was like, "Hey, maybe you should use the meeting room." And that's when I realized, like,
it's affecting
me mentally. That was my mental health rock bottom.
But so did you ever, or I know, I mean, I remember you can talk about it, but did you ever feel or did you ever seek help? When I say help, like a professional help, or was that something that you were like, I don't need to because it's not something that we do or something like that?
It wasn't not something that we do, but I didn't feel comfortable sharing with a stranger about what's happening.
Okay.
Because one, like the only experience that I had was when my ex went to a psychiatrist. So that was the only time that I've seen someone. And besides that one sentence that he said, I kind of felt that he was justifying his behavior. So I didn't feel the comfort level of going and discussing my issues with somebody else. But what I did was I walked myself through that mental situation. I kind of like assessed like how I was before, how I was at my rock bottom, and what is my true self. So I kind of had to look inward to come. I'm sure I still have a lot of issues, and it would do a lot of help for me to kind of speak to someone. But I feel like I keep having that conversation and keep doing that self-assessment.
Yeah. I think for me, I have privilege or luck of not having a very hard life, touch wood. That has affected my mental health like drastically. But I do remember I went for one therapy session just because I was curious. She said the same thing. She's like, everyone's a work in progress, and I think everyone needs therapy. And then she asked me like my coping mechanisms, and one of it was journaling, which she said was one of the best ways to let out whatever and I journaled like practically my whole life. And so she was just like, yeah, it doesn't sound like you're going through anything, but there will come a time in your life like where you might need it, like something might go wrong, or you may feel you're in a situation that's overwhelming, and you might want to just talk to someone who has an outside perspective. And that happened when Amma had her stroke. So at that time, because then I realized that the person that I used to go for therapy is my mom.
Aww.
Obviously, my sister was one of them too. But at that time, like I think you had also just had like I don't know, like it was just like there are certain things that I talk to you with, and certain things that I talk to her with, and
obviously eventually we all know, but then
and then obviously like it doesn't mean like even if I have like my quote unquote therapy session with her, it'll end in an argument, and then I'll tell her about it. It was like a round
circle of stuff.
But at that time, it was just difficult because I think we were all dealing with the situation in our own way, and to a certain extent, we were not all on the same page about how things were going. Eventually, we ended up on the same page, but it's just that we were all dealing with our own emotions that we couldn't help regulate each other's emotions.
Yeah.
And so at that time, I needed to go for therapy, and I went with Better Help. I don't know if you've heard of.
Yeah, I have.
I heard of them because of you.
And the therapist I got was really, really good. The challenge I faced was that she was not South Asian. Even then, she was really good at understanding like the South Asian dynamics, and she did her best to kind of not say stuff like you need to set boundaries or like you need to like cut them off or whatever, right? Yeah, so I think that was the main challenge. But that was the first time that I like experience therapy, like full sessions. I think I went for a month or something.
Yeah.
But I would say the in-person session was way better just because it's a lot more interactive. With virtual, there's a lot more, like you can't hear each other or you
Yeah.
can't see her, so you don't know if she's actually listening or
Yeah.
I'm sure she was, but like just as an example.
I think it's also important that you get the right therapist.
That's true. And
Because you can have a therapy session and not feel seen or heard, but if you're with the right person who can hear you, it's actually good.
Actually, we were discussing this last week with one of my friends, and she said your therapist is like finding your life partner. Like you have to do a trial and error. You have to go with different therapists. Sometimes when you meet the first therapist, it works out. Sometimes you have to meet like 2-3 therapists, and then.
So I kind of realized that I use the word psychiatrist, and you guys are using the word therapist. So I do want to clarify. So psychiatrists can issue or they can prescribe, what is it called? They can give you medication.
Yep.
So
I think can therapists do the same?
No, I think you go through your family doctor.
Yeah,
I think so. I think they will refer.
Yeah, therapists cannot give medication. So I did through, like when I went to that couple session, it was to a psychiatrist who gave medication.
So therapist is more like counseling.
Yes.
It's like having a friend whom you can just vent, like an agony aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've not been on a one-on-one therapy session, but I have been on group therapy sessions when I went through my first pregnancy. And it's also helpful because you have other people who have gone through similar journeys like you, and they can relate to what you're saying. So when you're talking, it doesn't feel like, like the other person is actually able to connect and feel what you're feeling as well, which was very helpful at that time when both me and Kedar needed it.
Yeah.
So like you have, even for students, you have counseling for jobs, which is kind of a therapy as well if you look at it, right?
Yeah.
Because you're trying to figure out what career you want, which path you want to take, and they're guiding you. So it's more of like a guide, which I think it's nice.
Why do you think like therapy is so taboo in the South Asian? I don't know if it's just the South Asian community or in general.
I think it's Asian in general. Yeah, not just.
Yeah, like my best friend, she has therapy, and in fact, her husband is also doing therapy sessions. I don't know. I think it's just the family dynamics, and everybody thinks that you need to be okay with how things are going.
Yeah.
And deal with it. I don't know if like you probably they feel like, oh, why do you need to talk to a stranger? Just come talk to us.
Yeah, that's so funny. Like we were watching Kenny Sebastian stand up the other day, and he says in that his parents are like, "Why are you going to therapy, Kenny? You can talk to us."
Yeah, there you go.
The problem is giving the solution.
Exactly.
Yeah. No. So my parents never said, "Come talk to me." It is me who's like, I don't want to go talk to a stranger.
Right.
So I don't know. Like, I think it's just cultural.
Did you ever think like therapy was taboo?
No.
Like even when you were like
no,
younger?
I actually told my ex that he needs to go through.
No, like even when you were younger, like before.
So I didn't. That's what I'm saying. Like I wasn't exposed to mental health until I was in my 20s, mid 20s or something. That's when like my ex was going through stuff, and I pushed him to go see a counselor because I was like, maybe it will do you good to talk to someone who's not family, and because your family is giving you emotional suggestions, that they might be giving you suggestions from their point of view or your point of view, but you need someone who's not related and neutral.
Non-biased.
So that's why like I kind of suggested him go to because he was getting really random and very, very, very bad counseling through his family members. Actually, like, so he basically didn't want to be candid to everyone. He didn't want to be in a relationship, but he got married because of family and societal pressure and everything. And then he was like really suffering mentally because of that. And he told his aunt, and his aunt said, "Oh, well, if you're not happy, then go live in a hostel." I was like, what kind of suggestion is that?
What
So-
happens to the person
Exactly.
we do, basically?
Exactly. So I was like,
That's not even
what,
advice.
what advice is that? So that's when I said, like, you need to talk to a professional.
Yeah.
You can't. I get it. I get what you're going through. What you're going through. I don't. I haven't gone through that, so I can't give you anything of that kind of suggestion, or I can't explain things to you. I tried my level best to kind of reason with him, but then I said, then you need to go and speak to a professional, which he did.
I think therapists will look at it because they don't know the family, they don't know, like they only know what you're telling them. So
Yeah.
they basically will give you a very non-biased and neutral.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it advice. I think they'll give you guidance.
Yeah.
Because advice is telling you what to do. I think
I don't
the
think
therapists actually
they guide you.
they guide
Yeah,
you, they
guide
question you. So what do you think about that? Or how do you feel about this? Or like what do you think you should do? Like they actually make you
Yeah.
realize what you need rather than giving you what you
Yeah.
need, which I think is nice.
Yeah. Did you ever have to like suffer silently growing up? I think suffer is a very strong word.
Suffer is a
Like,
very like
I
raw
wouldn't
word.
say growing up, but again, like as an adult, yes, I suffered silently
Is
many
it
times.
is it because you felt scared to speak up, or
I think
I
we
didn't-
have this. I don't know if it's, again, sorry to interrupt, but I think it's this whole innate thing that I can handle it.
Yeah.
I
In
don't
my
know if
head,
it's- yeah.
in my head, I was like, I'm an adult.
I can handle it.
I'm in this relationship. I need to handle it. But when I did tell someone, like when I told my parents and when I told Kedar and Lakshmi, they were like, we are there for you. So it wasn't the reaction that I was thinking that would happen. I was like, I didn't approach them. So it was me trying to handle things. There are so many nights that I slept in darkness, cried to myself, and there were so many times that I was like, why me? Can I just die? Like that like I didn't try to kill myself or anything. It didn't go that bad, but I was like, can just something happen? Like, can this bus come strike me and I just get rid of my sadness.
Oh.
wow.
Yeah. But
It
then
didn't
I
help that we were all far away from each other, right? So.
No, but so see, in the day of electronics and everything, distance doesn't matter. It's like you just need to pick up a phone and talk to someone,
Yeah.
which I didn't do.
Hmm.
What about you?
I don't know. I've not.
You're not one to be silent.
I don't think so. I have never been silent about how I feel.
I'm thinking
Well,
about it.
you do silently think about it for a while before you burst.
No, I don't think so.
No,
She's more reactive.
I'm a very short-tempered
Yeah.
person.
I mean, like it's not. When I say reactive, I don't mean just with the bad things, even with the good things.
Yeah.
Like you're very good at reacting to good news in the same way I'm saying good news, but like good situation and bad situation.
My mental space is that I need to think practically.
Yeah.
And that's always been my mental space. So regardless of the situation, my immediate response or reaction is to be practical. Like the emotions come into play a little later.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, okay, I get into project management mode. And then I get into the whole, oh, okay, now I'm feeling sad, and like all that stuff comes out later. So it's not something that I don't think I've ever internalized. Even with my own husband, I've always been open and blatant, and I feel like if you cannot be open and blatant with the person whom you love and care about, be it your sibling, be it your husband, be it your parents, be it your friends, then there's no point in being in that relationship, because you should be able to speak openly and not have that fear on, oh my god, if that person reacts this way, it's going to finish our relationship. I feel like that's how I think, and that's how I've always been. Like, be it my sibling, be it my husband, even with you.
Yeah.
I'm very open, and it's very instantaneous, but I'm never going to say that I don't love you, and I feel like the people whom you love and care about is whom you can be that open with, right?
Yeah.
So, and it's not a negative reaction, or it's not because I don't like you or whatever. It's just who I am, and it's just, I feel like it makes it easier, because you now know how I feel.
Mm.
There is no facade in front of me saying this is how I'm going to be, right? And also it makes me feel comfortable because I can be myself.
Yeah. I internalize a lot.
You do.
I think that's
do.
the younger sibling.
I don't know.
I don't know. My mom's the youngest sibling. She
Yeah,
doesn't internalize anything.
My mom and her are like the exact same.
She lets out. She tells every single thing to anybody, whether she cares about that person or not. Okay.
So, like you, I internalize a lot of things, and for me, it's more analyzing stuff by myself before I say it out loud. Yeah. So before, like, maybe I'll think like, how should I put this across, or what should I be saying? How will they react? I analyze this 100 times.
I'm not like that with people that I'm close with. I don't react, but I don't think this much more. Like my husband.
The moment I know she's quiet, I'm like, okay, what's going on?
Yeah, and she'll message me and be like, and then we'll like argue it out, and then it'll be fine.
Yeah.
But like sometimes with certain situations, I do internalize. Like when I got laid off, I internalized a lot. I was like, what do I do? Before, I obviously called and cried on the phone to my parents and my sister. And then after that, I got a lot of messages from all of them. Like, send you money, this job, this option, that option. And I was just like, no. I need to sit and think about what I want to do. And then that's when I internalize. And then I'll give them a call after and be like, thanks for sending me this. This made sense. This did make sense. And then like, this is what I'm going to do. So like, I think I'm emotional first and then practical.
Yeah.
You're practical first and
then emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, I mean, there's no right or wrong when it comes to mental health, right?
It's how you process.
It's how you process it, and it's how people around you who know you will accept it.
Yeah. How do you think our parents or our grandparents like viewed mental health or therapy?
They were never alone. They always had somebody around them.
I don't know, but for some people they like I like being alone. Like for me, when I'm alone,
I know, but then I'm saying they may have
the parents and grandparents.
Yeah, they may have liked to be alone, but they were never alone. So they always had somebody around them.
Also, the society was different.
Yes,
at that time.
It was very different.
Like the pressure that they had was different from the pressure that we have.
Yeah,
100%.
Their pressure, their like my parents got married in their 20s. They had kids by their late 20s. I was I was a later child, so I was born like mid 30s for them. And then their main focus was be with the family, take care of the family. They didn't put a lot of focus on other things. Like we put focus on, okay, I need to achieve this by a certain time. We put pressure on ourselves by setting deadlines, by setting targets, or by setting goals that we want to achieve. They didn't have that. They were living in the present. They were
also, I think they were not focused on themselves.
Yeah.
They never thought about like, is this what I want to do, or is this what I need to do? They were more focused on this is what they need, this is what I need to do for them, and that's it.
Right? And also external factors like economy was not like what we have right now. If I have to spend $500 today, I think like $10 or $100. $500 is still more. If I have to get my nails done or think about spending $100 on something, I'll think 10 times before I do it, because even though I'm earning at a certain level, the economy might not allow me, like tomorrow I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So that's why I think multiple times before getting into some like certain things. And so they didn't have that issue. Things were cheaper.
Also, things were cheaper, yes, but then going out for a movie was actually like, oh my god, I'm going for a movie, it's an entertainment.
It's
a treat. Nowadays it's like staying at home and eating a home cooked meal is a treat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, because maybe not for us, but still, like, it's just like, you're right, the lifestyle is so different, and the way things were different.
They had their entire village around them. So they had their friends, family, their parents, everyone around them. We don't have that privilege right now. My friends live in a different country. My family, except my brother and my sister-in-law, everybody else lives in a different country. My cousin lives here. One cousin lives in downtown. One cousin lives like 2 hours away. But I see them like once in a month
But
or
that's
once
the
in
same
2
even
months
if
and
you live in the
everything.
same city. It's not like people meet each other every
No,
day.
but
Yeah,
those days.
Those days, yes.
Those
Those,
days.
those days was
Every-
a joint family
Yeah.
system.
No, ours was a nuclear family, but every weekend we would be at our grandparents' house. We would have people visiting us every week or every other day and everything. Neighbors were friendly. They would bring dinners and everything. Here, I don't even know who my neighbor is.
I do.
So,
I
so,
do.
so
I know my
things-
neighbor
No, I
and my
understand
neighbor.
what you're saying. It's also like in this part of the world, there are a lot more boundaries,
Yeah.
right? Like we don't have those boundaries in India. For
We
the
do.
better
I
or
think
for the
it's
worse.
getting more boundary driven. Again, with the exposure.
Yeah, but that's for the better or the worse. Like
Yeah,
on
I
one hand,
agree.
we complain, not complain. We say that we don't have like that kind of this thing, but then we also like value our
yeah,
privacy here, right? So it's like you can't
Yeah.
have your cake and eat it too.
Oh, I like it here. I like that it's private. I like that it's you get to do what you want without any interference.
Yeah.
I
But
mean,
from a mental health perspective, like some people may not like that.
I know.
right?
No, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Yes, yeah.
So yeah, I guess it depends on what kind of environment you like growing up in to keep your mental health intact. Like Vignesh doesn't like the quiet of Canada. So he constantly needs like something playing in the background for him to feel like there's
Chatter.
noise or chatter in the background. But at the same time, he values his privacy. So he's like, I can't just like go spend one whole day at someone's house. I need to come back home, kind of a thing.
What was the mental health situation like when you guys immigrated? Or like what did you go through mental health wise? I think we discussed it slightly in other episodes, but
I think for me, like one of the biggest things that helped with my mental health when I moved here, which like maybe not a lot of people will relate to, is living alone. I think that really helped me like bring out that inner self dialogue because up until then I was still someone who was a lot more reactive. But after that, I became a lot more like I was able to kind of think about things from different perspectives. So when I first landed, I had her and Kedar to bounce off of in terms of like how I'm feeling and things, and they were very like supportive, like because the job market wasn't bad when I came
Yeah.
actually, but it did take me about a month to find a job. And in that month, I was obviously getting frustrated because I just quit my first job ever. And I was, what do you say, like it was winter, it was gloomy, and I was just like, what is going on? Like, will I find a job? And I'd heard their stories, and so obviously I got nervous. But every day they were just so supportive. They were like, don't even like worry about it until you find a job, you have a roof over your head, and we're here to support you. And like, they would talk to me every night. I remember Kedar would like pick me up from the GO station and it would just be like advice throughout the way.
One last thing.
second.
But and then like we would, sit at night and watch TV and talk and yeah. So I think I was lucky that way that I've always grown up, and even my parents, right? Like when I got laid off, for example, every day they would call in and check in. My dad never used to call me every day. He would call me like once in 2 weeks or once in a week. But that day, since I got laid off, every day he's called me to check in on my mental health. Even now, like when I'm doing well, he would still call in to check, and they would always ask like, "How's your mental health?" She texts me whenever I'm having a bad week or a bad day. How's your mental health? Like, don't shut down. Don't like. I know you internalize. Like, don't shut down on us. Like, talk
I'll be
to
doing
us.
that for you now because you internalize. I mean, I have been maybe not as often as her.
Yeah,
but yeah.
And obviously, like that, they know that I have Vignesh now, so they're not as worried as they used to be.
Yeah.
But despite that, they still check in.
That's
and so I think that like, and even my friends, right, they also check in to see. When I got laid off, my friends, Preeti and Aditya, used to come every week with dinner
Yeah.
because you guys were in Vancouver at that time. They didn't even ask. They just showed up one day and they were like, yeah, we're Friday's dinner here. And like, because that time during COVID, you couldn't even like hang out because you had to hang out in a
It
certain
was a bubble
group.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they're like, yeah, you're our bubble, and they would just like come at dinner every Friday, and that became like a thing. And then,
Yeah.
so I think having, like you said, like having that supportive thing does help. So when I first moved here, I would say it wasn't as challenging as it would have been for many other people in my situation. And I'm lucky, like I'm privileged for that.
Yeah, for us, I mean, I think both of you know the struggle, but took us a while to find jobs.
Yeah.
And I think the market was also kind of just like it was in the recession stage and recovery stage. So people were not hiring at that point, and we had to take up we took up, like Kedar took up a job at a store and to make rent, and we did the whole shebang thing. I made friends with the bus driver. When I got my first job, I used to take the bus to the office, and it was the same bus that I would take in the morning. So there were a couple of times where I would run from the apartment to the bus stop, and he would wait for me because I became friends with him. Because I would always stand and talk to him. So I mean, and also I think when we had migrated, Canada was a little different than what it is now. Like right now, there's a lot more. Like it's a lot more crowded, and there's a lot more people who've come in. And that time it was a little bit more strict about how many and how they were letting people in. Like, yeah, talking with the bus driver and him being friends, even people at work. I also got laid off. There was like, it was scary because again, I'm just like, well, am I going to find another job? But then the good part was when I did get laid off, the market was picking up. So, and I already a year of experience. So it became a little bit easier to find the next job. And I've been in that company for the past like almost 12 years. So it was a struggle in the beginning, and we never forget our struggling days, which is why we know, like when people come in, we know how scared or how they must be feeling. So we try and say, hey, you don't have to worry with, especially like with you and with you, like it's your family, like you can come, like don't even bother, like it's you have a place to stay. We may make jokes about saying we'll kick you out and all that, but in the end, you have a place to stay, right? Regardless. And mentally, it never. So we've known people where when they were struggling in the beginning to find jobs, where it has taken a strain on the relationship. But with me and Kedar, I think it was always about making it, and regardless of how things were going. And we were always there for each other. So I still remember when Kedar took up the store job, and he told me, like, I've seen people who have been working at the store for the past like 15, 16 years because they've just gotten comfortable. But the moment you get a job, I'm going to leave that store so that I can find what I want. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Like, it was never a question of, oh, you have to stay there, or no, we need the money, or, like, it was never like a forcible situation for the other person. So the moment I got a job, he actually quit. And then it helped because he would then prepare my meals for lunch, and he would take care of the house and look for jobs in the afternoon. And then, yeah, when he got his first job and we needed to buy a car, we ended up going and buying a car together. And yes, we were living paycheck to paycheck, but we somehow made it work. And we always said to each other that we will be there for each other regardless of how things end up. And that's something that I think helped. Yeah, we've had our moments where, we've broken down and we're like, what are we doing? Why are we still here? We have no jobs. Money is going away. Like, what are we going to do? We've had moments like winters, especially, would feel very depressing. But yeah, we had our friends who helped. We had Uncle Auntie who helped. And my best friend was like, I would meet her for lunch or dinner every month. And she lives actually down the road from me now. And she would always like meet with me, and we would talk about stuff. And it definitely helps to have that close knit people around you. We didn't have family, but our friends became our family, kind of a thing. So yeah, it was a struggle for us for sure. And we never forget those days because it keeps us humble, and it keeps us in check that other immigrants who are coming in are also going through something similar. Maybe worse. So especially like when we see doctors who are qualified to do surgery are doing Uber driving. Like it's really unfortunate, right? So yeah. How about you?
I went through anxious periods. I know that you guys were here for me, but obviously that was always my goal, not to be dependent on you
I know.
guys. So I had anxious periods like, can I do this? And one thing that you guys always told me was, do not have the country as backup. You're not going back. You are staying here.
Yeah.
Do not keep Singapore as backup plan or India as backup plan. So that was what I removed. And I was like, I have to make it, I have to be here. This is home now. And there were like ups and downs. Like I mentioned this in the last podcast. I took a huge pay cut to move here. That kind of made me feel a bit depressed. Like, how come I'm so qualified? I have so many years of experience, and they don't value my experience. Like, they wanted skilled workers, and they don't value my experience. And similarly, when I kind of figured out my colleagues were at a higher grade, my peers were at a higher grade than I was. And again, like, that kind of like made me feel sad. Like, what am I not doing well that those guys are? And when I asked that question, someone just completely shut me down. And that was even more challenging. Like, is that like, am I not a good worker? Like, it was more of me asking questions, like me questioning myself. So there was like ups and downs of that. And then I finally was like, you know what, it's okay, it is what it is. I will give my 100% to anything that I'm doing. And in the end, if it doesn't work out, I'm not going to say that it didn't work out not because of me, it was just the situation.
Yeah. I'm going to move on to something hopefully like a lot of women will relate to, but as South Asian women, how was your mental health affected with like the constant pressure to settle down?
Oh my God. You're opening up a whole can of worms. But like, I mean, I can let like you guys can go first if you want, but
I think we all have a lot to say.
Yeah. I think for my situation,
actually, let me flip that question. Did you always want to settle down?
I
And then we can maybe answer about the pressure.
I did want to have someone in my life. I wanted to have my own family. I think growing up, we've seen that, right? Like, we see our cousins getting married or our friends getting married, and everyone is in their happy family unit and everything. So it wasn't like I did not want to get married or anything like that. I wanted to find my person. I had certain expectations that they should meet my wavelength. I didn't want a huge age gap and everything, which was the case with my ex. Like, our wavelengths met fantastically. It was love at first sight for me. I really like fell head over heels for him. And then it wasn't the same for him. So for him, it was family pressure. For him, it was like his parents telling, that's what he says, that his parents told him that he needs to get married to this person, and he had to listen to them, which I kind of don't. Knowing his parents, I don't know how true it is. I feel like it's 50-50. It's 50% yes, they would have pressure, 50% he would have internalized the pressure as well. Going through what I went through with my relationship and getting divorced and everything, that after that, my parents did have like, they mourned quite a bit. Like, they were like, this was an arranged marriage. They internalized what I went through as their loss and their failure, right? So they didn't pressurize me again to get married, but they would have, I would say they would have these cycles. So there will be this cycle where they'll be like, oh my God, you need to have a family of your own, you need to have someone in your life, you need to have kids, so let's find someone. So they'll go through that phase of trying to arrange me, like arrange match with someone, and then I'll entertain them. Obviously, yes, I want to be in a relationship, so I'll see like, okay, what are you looking at? I'll have a chat with that person, and then I'll come back and tell my parents like, look, these are the things that because of which this is not going to progress. So they'll be like, okay, fine, you be by yourself and everything. So the peak was during pandemic, because they'll be like, what if this pandemic happens again and you get stuck and you don't have anything in your life, you're lonely right now, we are here with you, what if we are not there and everything. So that kind of during that pandemic 2020, 2021, they were like very, very hands on, trying to find someone, spoke to about a million people. I'm exaggerating, but yeah, but they tried their level best, and I don't get pressurized by that. Like, I say, okay, this is keeping you occupied, go ahead, do that. And then again it went through a downslope. Then again, now they've started it again. So it's kind of like that cycle has come back. But I don't feel pressurized as such. I read a quote recently. It said, do you want to be single? And the person said, no, I want to be with someone. And do you like being single? And yes, absolutely. I like enjoying my company, but that doesn't mean I'm not waiting for someone or I'm not looking for someone. And would you want to be with someone? I would absolutely love to be with someone, but they have to meet my expectation. I'm not going to lower my standards. I'm not going to lower my expectation. Like Seema auntie says, 60%, 40%, it's not going to happen. It's like 60%, that 40% might be important. Yes, 60%, 40% makes sense. Like 60% match hua to koi baat nahi karke, that makes sense. But what if that 40% is important to me? What if that 40% means they respect my family, they respect my boundaries, they are helpful around the house, but they're not. That 40% is important to me. So I'm going to settle down with someone who matches my standards and I match their standards. But if I don't settle down because of that, I'm fine with that.
I think for me it was a slightly different different situation. The pressure started once I started working in Bangalore. And at that time I was very like I was 20, 23, 24. And I said, you know what, like yeah, I don't mind, like I don't want to get married, but I don't mind dating for a year or two and then figuring it out. And at that time I obviously didn't think about moving to Canada yet. But 1 year after dating around, like going on, not dating around, but like going on dates and meeting first dates and then meeting people and thinking like, okay, there's no way like I'm gonna match with anyone here. That's when, and then I decided to move to Canada. And then I was like, I don't want to get married. Like I don't want to get married and move. I would rather move there and find someone. And obviously around the same time I was in a very toxic situationship with a friend. And I think that messed me up because it was very like, oh, one day like it'll happen. Like that's what he used to tell me. And that kept on going even after I moved to Canada. So I think that affected me putting myself fully into the dating scene. I would just be like, oh, I'm just meeting these guys to like make my parents happy. But eventually I'm going to end up with this guy. And then obviously he got into a relationship. And then when that happened, few months later, I got laid off. And so the two happening at the same time made me self-reflect a lot and internalize a lot. And it felt like an outer body experience because the minute I did that, I was just like, how stupid was I to have wasted 7 years on this guy? Like, I'm so stupid until this, because she used to tell me, my sister used to tell me, she'd be like, what the are you doing? Like, this guy's an idiot. Like, why are you wasting your time? He's not going to come around. Preeti used to tell me. All my friends used to. But I was just like stupid. And I was just like, and like even now when I think about it, I'm like, I was so stupid. Like, why
was
did I
was gaslighting?
Yeah. So I was like, why was I letting myself do that to myself? And you know, when you're like us, like independent women, you really, really like bash yourself for putting yourself in a stupid situation like that. So I think once that happened, obviously, because I didn't have a job, my focus entirely shifted away from dating and I focused on building my business. And then like 2021, I was fully over it. I had mostly cut ties with this person and I was just like meeting guys. And like you, I was like, I just need the person to be on the same wavelength with me. I didn't really think about 60-40 and all of that. But eventually, like when I met Vignesh, it was so Vignesh and I matched in 2019, around the same time that like I had uh, began to realize that I'm stupid. So
You're not stupid. We don't talk about ourselves like that.
okay, around the time I began to realize that I was doing something stupid. But when we matched, he was just like, we spoke, and then we were like, yeah, it's not going to work out. And we were just like, good luck with your search. And then in 2021, we reconnected. And still, it was the same like friendship vibes. But then when we met, there was just something like, I don't know how to explain it, but like in your gut, you just know. And then you're like, this is my person. And like, I don't care what happens. I don't care if you like, I don't know.
Shah Rukh Khan or not.
Yeah, I don't care if you like Shah Rukh Khan or not. I don't care if you don't listen to Bollywood music. I don't care if you like don't like dosas or whatever. But like, you are my person. Like, you can be annoying. You can like pick your nose in public, but you're my person.
Yeah.
So that's like, you kind of just knew. And I think obviously like those conversations helped building up to meeting. But that pressure from the parents for me was constantly there. Up until I found Vignesh, that pressure was there. And I had made the pressure further by saying, yes, I will find someone before I turn 30. Thankfully, I met Vignesh before I
Oh my
turned 30.
goodness.
Because if that didn't happen, I would have
That was like a
screwed.
deadline which was constantly reminded.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
So, you will find by 30?
You're,
When-
you're turning 30 in 2 years. Will you find? I'm
Oh,
like,
no.
When-
this is a long
When will you
time.
find? How will you find?
It's like
Will you find-
Rachel. It's like Rachel from Friends.
And
I have to be.
no, the-
I have to have a kid by I'm 40.
Yeah.
And then counting. The worst
So I
part
should
was
have met someone
the
yesterday.
pressure that she would feel. It would boil me more than her. And I would end up having fights with my parents
Yeah.
instead of her or
I
with
would-
her.
Like, my dad didn't care.
Yeah.
I think he was more just like, you do you want to get married, you want to get married, don't want. Like, I think up until a certain age he cared, and then after that he was just like, I don't give a shit anymore.
Yeah.
I can't deal with this. You and your mother deal with it. Maybe the pressure got to him. I don't know. But
Yeah, but Amma was very much concerned about the whole thing. I don't know why, but I guess it was just an anxiety problem as well. But yeah,
because I think her anxiety also started around that time. And so it was,
which yeah, and she was also going through the whole menopause thing, which is a whole other podcast.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's which now I think I understand a little bit more. But yeah, it was a lot. But
yeah. So eventually, like,
and I used to be like, for that you should not find somebody by the time you turn 30. Okay, you need to make sure you find someone at 31.
or like announce on your 30th birthday.
God.
Yeah, it was a lot. Like, I did have, there were times when I would kind of question my relationship with my mother and be like, I love her so much, but how can you love and dislike someone at the same time? This is just so like weird. And obviously we made up every time. Every
Yeah.
time we had the fight, we would make up. But it was just like, I remember one of the biggest arguments we had was, I told her, like, it was just like, you want to get married, you want to get married. And then in the end, I was just like, no, I don't want to get married. Like, leave me alone. And then it was because of menopause. It was nothing else. And she was just like, you're not my daughter anymore. And then she like went away, and then literally 2 seconds she came back. She's like, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's all the hormones.
Yeah.
Can't help it.
But yeah,
That's
I
where the
think it
whole
was
mental health thing from that
their
generation comes into play.
But saying those things affected, I wouldn't say it affected my mental health, but it definitely like put a lot more pressure on me. And I felt that guilt of like, if I don't find someone by 30, I will feel bad. Yeah. Like, I will feel bad. And I know that my relationship with my mom is just going to get worse because of that.
But
Thankfully,
hey,
it
everything worked out.
Yeah.
So for me, I never wanted to get married or have children. I just wanted to be independent, live by myself, do my own thing. And then if I met someone along the way, great. If not, I'm fine. But yeah, the pressure, I don't think it was parents pressurizing. I think it was more of a societal pressure.
Actually, sorry to interrupt you. It was the same for me.
Yeah.
My mom
Because she would not say anything until and unless somebody else was getting married or somebody would ask her, so has your daughter found somebody?
I get that now because some of my friends have teenagers who are going into university.
There you go.
Some of my friends have kids, like they've just had kids and everything. So I get that pressure now, like my own pressure, where I'm like, I thought that I would have kids by this time. So that's like, that gets to me. But then I'm like, oh, I get to travel. I get to be the fun aunt.
Still get to travel, but yeah, I hear what you are saying.
Yeah.
So for me, there was no pressure from a like you have to get married to this person or this is how you need to, like nothing of that sort. I've never had any major fights. In fact, I actually had a lot of fun with Amma. Because I went and met somebody with her without Appa, and we made fun of that guy together.
Oh no.
Because he was short and he was the youngest, and anyway, there was a whole thing. But the pressure, again, probably like you, it was more internally. I think it was the pressure to be a rebel, saying I'm not going to say yes to anybody because I don't want to get married.
Yeah.
If
And I
anything,
knew this about her, and then when she met Kedar, it was like because anyone who came home, I didn't even register. I was just like, whatever, whoever this guy is, he's gonna come. He's gonna have some samosa.
well, even with Kedar, I was going to
have some.
yeah, because it was, but he was the first person I met at home. There was nobody else I met at home.
I mean, but you know what I mean. Like I didn't like
You met
put
at
the
your
time.
home? Or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what had happened was, over the years, like I think they were looking for about 2 years, they found for them, so everything was a good case. So this is a good case. You should say yes. And I'm just like, why am I saying yes?
Yeah.
It's a good case. See, the whole family is an architect, but I don't want to marry an architect. Because if I did, I would have found somebody in college, and I would have said that, maybe try to have a relationship or something. I don't want to marry somebody in the same profession. Then that's all we'll talk about.
Yeah.
And maybe even have competitions with each other on who's better at work and stuff. So I don't want that.
Yeah.
That's not. So basically, you don't know what I want. So anyways, Kedar fit the bill in every aspect, in terms of like he didn't have the same profession. He was very talkative, and I talk, but not as much as him. And he was very.
You will know in the podcast.
And he was good looking. He still is. He's good looking, and he wanted an independent and self-reliant woman. He didn't want somebody who would be a doormat, or not a doormat, but not be someone who would be dependent on him.
Yeah.
So like the way he spoke on when we do get married and when we move in with each other, I needed like, I'll help you get a job, and I'll make sure that things work out for you. And so that those conversations held very well for me. And I was like, okay, maybe this could be something, but I'm still gonna say no because I don't want to get married. So I actually even told her, apparently he's going to fly down to come see me. We've been speaking for 3 weeks. He seems like a nice guy, but I don't think I'm going to say yes because you know what? I just don't want to get married. I don't want to be tied down. That's what my whole thing. And then he came home. I saw him and I'm like, okay, like her, it was just like a spark. Just couldn't,
there's just something.
in my stomach, I was just like, okay, like I can't say no to this person. And then I remember this very clearly.
Have a very cute, charming way.
It is. He came in like this, and then he comes in and he shook hands with me. He spoke to my father, and then you were not there. I think you were. Yeah, you were in Singapore.
Yeah.
He spoke to my father, and then he asked my dad after like a couple of minutes of sitting at home. He was like, "Can I take your daughter out?" I was like, "Oh, gentleman," he's asking my dad, and then my dad was immediately like, "Yeah, but not too far." And we went into the car. They'd gotten 2 cars. He went into the car and he asked me, which is the furthest place away from here? I was like, Rebel. Yes, I love it. So then we ended up going to Leela Palace in Bangalore, which were basically our first real date.
Yeah.
And in the car, we spoke about whether we're going to say yes or no. And he had this glint and sparkle in his eyes when he was talking to me. And I was just like, if I say no, I would be stupid. So I have to say yes.
Yeah.
And then me being me, I was like, I always have an exit strategy. We are not in those days where we cannot divorce or get away from each other. So let me give this a chance. So because I also had my fair share of failed relationships in college and heartbreaks and the whole thing.
Yeah.
So I was just like, okay, maybe this is something. So yeah, we ended up getting married, but the pressure, like she said, it wasn't blatantly there from my parents. For her, I think it was more a parental pressure. Plus, mom was going through some stuff. Whereas with me, I think it was more of a societal pressure. Oh, you're 24. It's time to get married.
Yeah, I didn't have that pressure, unfortunately.
But then I think after
Fortunately.
Fortunately.
I
know. Unfortunately.
I can't share anything at this podcast.
This is relatable.
But yeah, I think, and then, 17 years later, we're still together.
I do think like the process of looking for someone is mentally exhausting.
It is.
Like
I think nowadays more than before, because of the amount of, again, apps and dating sites and like people just trying to hook up and ghost.
No, but it's not just like it's so many things. Like it's you're saying no, yes, but there are times when they're also saying yes. Like when you get ghosted.
You know, one time someone said no to me because they said that you're too modern.
Yeah, I heard that too.
What?
I had one guy come
home. If
I
like painting my nails and putting makeup on, I'm too modern.
I've had people say no to me too, but it never really affected me.
No, so yeah, it didn't affect me, but there was someone, I want to share this. There was someone that I was talking to about at work about dating and everything. And she said that I don't want to be on the apps because every time someone ghosts you after a nice conversation or every time a relationship doesn't work out, it feels a part of your heart goes missing. Like you've invested in that conversation, you've invested in meeting this person, and then they suddenly, after a few weeks, they're like, oh, well, yeah, it's not going to work out and everything. So I get it, like with the dating now is hard. It's too much pressure.
Plus, you probably, even if you're on 10 different apps, it's probably the same 10 people.
It is.
Yeah.
It's not like you're going to meet different people.
I am on 10 different
that's
apps.
What I'm saying.
They are on 10 different apps.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I've never been exposed to that app culture of dating.
You're lucky.
It was very different. Yeah, which is probably, yeah.
No, I have one funny story where there was this one guy who came home and Amma and Appa were there. And I'll probably cut this out because I don't know. But he asked, so there were two things. One was, I can only eat fresh food every day. I can't eat like leftovers. So the minute he said that, both Amma and Appa were like, yeah.
You know what I would have said? I would have been like, okay, so how do you cook? Do you cook every day? Because my daughter doesn't cook.
You remember one guy you met who came home?
Oh. She thought I liked him.
Yeah.
And she thought I was going to tell her to say yes.
Yeah, she was
and the moment
having conversation with him.
And the moment he walked out, so I was like, so what do you think? And she was like, did you like him? I'm like, I need to know whether you liked him before I give you my opinion because you're the one going to get married. So she, like, Loki thought I was just going to say, you have to say yes. And then she was like, I was like, oh, thank goodness.
No, but this guy that came home, this was the first thing. And then the second thing, he was like, this was through matrimony. So he's like, உங்களோட profile நீங்க socially drinker னு போட்டிருக்க. Do you drink and get drunk? My dad's like, what kind of question is that?
So at least that's okay. I spoke to...
Do you drink and you get drunk?
I spoke to somebody because Amma was getting very annoyed with talking constantly to people. So she said, okay, the next call you take. So I spoke to some auntie who was for you. And...
oh, I remember this one.
You remember this one, right? She was like, this was I think when I was in Vancouver. So I was like, so I'm looking for my daughter, blah, blah, blah. I mean my sister, blah, blah, blah. And then she was like, okay, so does your sister drink? I was like, yeah, she socially drinks. Adella stop pananam. Kalyana anapram drink parka kuda puradu. I was like, okay.
Does your son drink?
I didn't ask that. And then the next thing she was just like, before I could even ask anything, she was like, she should be only friends with my son's friends. She cannot have her own friends. So then I said, so basically she cannot have her own identity. And then she was like, huh? I was like, yeah, I think auntie, this is not going to work out. So maybe you need to find somebody else.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm like, so yeah, there are some very strange people out there. But yeah, it's interesting though.
These are mothers of people that you're dealing with. The kids themselves are not that good.
I know.
I think there's so many other questions that I had, but I'm going to end with this question. If you could say one thing to every South Asian woman who feels behind, what would it be?
Who feels behind?
Like, you know how you, like, some women feel like, oh, she's 28 and has, like how you just said. Like,
it's okay. You're doing you. Everybody has a different timeline. Don't compare yourself to other people.
Sorry, one of the things that I read was comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah,
it is. And the main thing, like I would say, is use babies as an example. Not every baby rolls over, crawls, walks, talks, eats at the same time.
Yeah.
Everybody has a different timeline.
Yeah.
And it's equally joyful regardless of when they do it,
Yeah.
whether it's at a year old, 18 months old, whenever it is, the first word spoken or the first time they walk, it's joyful regardless of when it happens.
And have reminders, like I won't say there won't be a time when you're questioning yourself or what you have not achieved, but then focus on what you have achieved. Like there are so many different things that you've done in your life that outweighs what you do not have.
Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, I would definitely say, and also surround yourself with positive and uh, similar like-minded women specifically, and
Yeah.
then people, because that will definitely help uplift you.
Yeah.
Because whatever achievement you have or have gotten through till date is great,
Yeah.
regardless of what it is.
Yeah.
So never discount that.
Yeah, I think like hype women or hype women friendships are
Oh, yeah.
Very important.
Very important to surround
It's,
yourself with
it's
that.
good to have a supporting partner, supporting kids, supporting family. But I think hype women friendships, like
Just
including
good,
siblings,
positive female
women.
friendship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they don't have to be in the same timeline as you.
Yeah.
They can be in different timelines, just like us.
Yeah.
Or different time zones. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be the same time zone.
Mhm.
It's good to have them in the same time zone.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, on that note, we will end that episode. Thank you for tuning in. I'm sure I think we should do a part two because there's so many other interesting
There is,
questions
yeah.
that I
Yeah,
had to ask,
me too.
and I'm sure you guys also had to ask. So we'll definitely do a part two in the next season. But thank you for tuning in. Please make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel. You're following us on Spotify, and you're following us on Instagram at Chai Coffee and Customs _pod. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.